Once again, we have Dr. Lynette Louise, aka the Brain Broad, aka my mom, international autism specialist, brain expert, and mom extraordinaire. And we've been talking about sexual diversity during Autism Acceptance Month and Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. Some of the topics have been pretty intense, but all of them have been helpful. Yeah. Well, intense subjects are worth exploring. So thank you for exploring them with us so well. And today we are going to talk about autism again, and we're going to try to keep it later.
Yeah, it's not that hard actually.
No, actually, if you don't mind me saying, actually, I love that you said that because when I talked to a producer one time a long time ago and I mentioned I thought you should be on her show to talk about autism, she went, "Oh no, no, that's too sad of a topic." And I was like, "No, that's what we want to change. You should really have my mom on the show."
Oh, well, you know, just to follow up with that one time, and I won't name names, but I was one of the big organizations that tries to raise money to help autism. I went and took the mic, I started talking, and they unplugged my mic, and he came over and said to me, "You can't talk like that. It's a tragedy, and you have to talk like it's a tragedy." I'm like, "So you can raise money?" So I left the stage. I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
I was accidentally put here then because you don't know who I am apparently." Um, yeah, no, that was an interesting one. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. So it's a good place to start because yeah, it is a tragedy. You know, I feel for my kids. I feel for the Dar that I just said to him, calm yourself down and sit down on the couch and put a blanket on until you feel better. I feel that for him that I had to do that for him, that I had to say that he couldn't just do that for himself on occasion. But we all need help on occasion, and it's a tragedy in one light that he's had this life that he's had. Before I adopted him, it was a tragedy, the things that happened to him, the things that happened to him because of misunderstandings in the world were tragedies. But we kept addressing them, just like you do with all your kids. And all kids, you had tragedies. You weren't autistic, right? I had to. I remember when you were a teenager in the middle of the night, said, "Let me find that guy," and we're walking up and down the street. Yeah, right. Everybody has tragedies. Okay. Um,
And
it's
actually,
the
a lot of our tragedies stem from, I mean, from the world, hard things happening to us. But a lot of our tragedies, regardless of if we're autistic or neurotypical or whatever, stem from how we think.
right,
We do our tragedies to ourselves
right,
very often.
right,
And
right.
yeah, so we have to be.
And and so the blessing in autism, I'm going to mention Dara again, same son. I don't want to confuse everyone with all the names. So he's the only one that's still at home. All the rest of the kids have managed to become independent, and there were lots of them. So that's a good for me. I know what I'm doing. Good for them. They worked really hard um, and continue to, but and they're successful in their lives. But Dar will always be my best buddy. You left me, so he's my best friend. And that's a real thing. Like, we'll probably go to a retirement home together. That's kind of my version of a group home for him. When I'm 78 and he's 55, we'll go to assisted living. So I have a friend for life, and he really loves me, and he's just a delight to travel with. I'm excited to travel with him. I mean, so is it a tragedy? Yeah, but no. And
Yeah.
I think it's our job to go, "This is the hand I was dealt, and let's find something beautiful here, and let's go to our subject matter." Yeah? So you're adult autism. You've got a sensory issue. Lucky you. Because wow, your sex can be like a kaleidoscope of colors and sensations and smells. And now, in the same way that it can be the most intense experience, positive, it can also be negative. So you'll have to discover yourself, just like any autistic person or any normal person or any person with in a wheelchair would have to go, now how am I going to do this? And where are my limitations? And that's for all of us, really. But on the light side, let's look at the plus side. So with autism, you can have things like synesthesia, and that can mean that you taste shapes, that you see sound, that you hear color. You can have this most intensely swirling, beautiful, what other people have to take mushrooms for trip by allowing your sensory system to be fed. And there's no better feed than a good sexual experience. The trick is to find a good sexual experience. I remember talking to this one autistic man. He says, "Oh, I can't do sex. I can't do sex. There's hair where you don't expect it." Right? I mean, it's adorable, but he was also stuck. He felt like, well, I can't do that because I might come across a hair, right? And I said, well, this is a thing you can talk to your person about. Someone might do laser. They might make sure they're fully shaved in all those spots. They might tell you where all their hairs are. You could have some fun with it before you even have sex. You could take a little marker and you could circle all the hairs. Right? I mean, you're going to, there you go. It'll take a while. And he means body hair showing up somewhere where he didn't want it, right? Pimples. I've seen people not be able to engage in an enjoyable sexual experience because someone has pimples on their back. Well, that happens to neurotypical people, by the way, as well. But the intensity of the response, right? So, yes, you have a challenge here, right? Clearly, you have a label because you have a challenge, because you're different. You have a different ability. But you probably also have some very intense blessings here. And it's about discovering them. And if you're the parent guiding the person, it's about helping them to discover them. If you've watched this series, you heard the story where my son was thinking he was being private because he was in the bathroom with the door locked, but he was, we were at a dinner party and he was in the bathroom with the door locked. And they were a very quiet dinner party with very, very, very uptight people. And he's in there having a full-on sensory experience, right? He's fully nude. He's laid down the towel. He's making sure every part of his body feels it. He's going, oh, oh, oh. And I'm like, oh, excuse me. I have to go and talk my son out of doing what he's doing. So the point being, there's a lot to learn and you want to help your child learn it. But can it be wonderful? Yes. Can your sexual life be a huge driver for you, but not an obsession? You can try. There's a good chance. There's a good chance that if you have autism, it'll be a little bit of an obsession. So quite maybe till you're 40-ish, but that's okay. That's about learning how to cope with your obsession, and it's a very healthy obsession to have. Having an orgasm is wonderful for your brain and your body. It helps your skin be supple. It helps your brain sort of relax out of the intense state you were just in and come into a different place. It releases bonding hormones. It really all these beautiful things that it does for you to help you go, okay. So you can use it as a reset button. My son that was in the bathroom that day, he was doing a class, and I was going with him because he's also got Tourette's, and he's also got fetal alcohol syndrome. He's adopted. I didn't give it to him. And he has retardation, or did. Right now, he's considered normal, but the bottom end of normal. He's still, is who he is. And so we were doing the GED class so that he could at least get some basic, knowledge that was, how to do his bank book and things like that. And we did it together so that he could get through it because it was difficult for him. And every time he'd start to tense up and have a hard time, I'd say, just go in the bathroom and masturbate, dear. And then you'll be fine. You'll be able to refocus. But make sure you close the door and you have to be quiet. He said, it's a stall. And I go, well, be very quiet. Now, this sounds like, what? Why are you? But it worked. He went from this sensory buildup. He went in, he had a orgasm, he came out, he continued his studies. Oops, he went in, he had an orgasm, he came out, he continued his studies, he went in, he like and because he had that, he literally, I just made up some reason why I had to leave a lot for the teacher. And he literally stayed on task with this stuff that was really beyond him and became possible for him because he had this way of not building up and overstressing and resetting in a beautiful way. Had he not done that, then he'd have probably ended up, giving up, walking out, having a temper tantrum. It was
Yeah.
much more he had to, right. And so this is an example of how you can take this thing that's an obsession and make it useful for you. And most people that have autism, not all, but most people that have autism come into puberty very intensely. And so if you don't have an accepting family that can help you with that, they can help you to know about privacy, they can help you to know when and where and how to use it, you end up, usually drugged and stopped from evolving into the beautiful young man or woman that you could be. So I really think that maybe you could help take a moment, help your child take a moment to be grateful for this beautiful, intense sensory system they have and benefit from it. And then learn how to avoid the things that give them a disgust response. And, it'll be okay. It'll be a beautiful thing. I can honestly tell you, since I'm at this point in my life, I'm old enough to tell you stories about me. Uh, one of my best sexual experiences was with an autistic man. And I don't know what it was about it, but I think it was that he was so sensory. And it made it so sensory for me. And I have my own, quirks. So,
Yeah.
and
We
I have,
all do,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
a touch of Asperger's, right? So all I needed was someone to ignite that. But wow, yeah, it's really beautiful, and you should embrace it and help your child embrace it.
I love that. Thank you. I think that actually this is the best way to end the series. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, we promised light. I hope it was light and fun. Not forever. You're gonna see your child studying and think, "Oh, should I tell him to go?"
Well, no, I did. I tell him to masturbate? No, but no, that's awesome. I mean, it was light and fun, and again, useful. I mean, this is actually really good information. So
I hope
thank
so.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I love it. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I think it's neat
Oh,
that you had a wonderful sexual experience with an autistic man.
who was also a reporter and wrote a really good article about us
Oh,
when
and
we
now I
listened
know
to
who
her.
you mean. I remember him. That's awesome. Ah, I love you, Mom.
I love you too, honey.
All right,
Bye.
and honestly, thank you very much for doing this. I think
You're welcome.
it's made a big difference for me. It's been
Good.
very important and valuable for me. So thank you.
And hopefully for others.
Everyone. All
Okay.
right.
All right. Love
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.